Did Hamas just hire the UN as its PR firm? I'm confused because the UN just accused Israel of genocide and sexual violence. Let me translate that for you. Modern anti-Semitism, different century, same blood label. They ignore Hamas raping Israeli women on October 7th. They ignore Hamas's own bragging about it. But now, suddenly, Israel is the one using sexual violence? Who believes this garbage? We saw the sexual violence Hamas committed. We heard the victims' testimonies, and the UN stayed silent about it for months. Now, they are fabricating crimes to smear Israel. Meanwhile, Hamas terrorists didn't just commit these crimes, they celebrated them, they filmed them, they shared them in their group chats, they laughed, they called their families to brag about it.
الو
يابا
يابا
انا قاعد اكلمك من جوبا بسيم. افتح الواتس تبعه قول له وين شوف كيف القتله، شوف كيف قتلك بيدي يابا ابنك. هاي دخلوا بسيم يابا.
الله اكبر، ربنا يحميك يا رب، ربنا يحميك يابا، ربنا يحميك
قاعد
يابا.
اكلمك من جوال يهوديه.
Hamas filmed themselves committing crimes against humanity. And yet, somehow, the UN never found the time to acknowledge it. No urgent reports, no global outrage. Actually, the global outrage lasted for exactly 2 minutes and ended as soon as Israel started defending itself. This UN report is exactly what you'd expect. Pure propaganda dressed as human rights. According to these so-called UN experts, who probably get their research from TikTok and think Hamas is an indie resistance group, according to them, Israel is committing genocidal acts by fighting terrorists who use hospitals as military bases. And my personal favorite, they claim Israel is preventing Palestinian births. Right, because the Palestinian population actually doubled itself in the last 30 years. Worst genocide in history. So let's break this down for the UN's brain trust. If Israel was committing genocide, how is it that Gaza's population keeps growing? Since the beginning of the war, Gaza's population grew by 2%. If Israel was targeting civilians, then why does the army go out of their way to warn civilians before attacks? Israel facilitated the entry of over 1 million tons of aid to Gaza since the war began, even as Hamas fired rockets at us. You want to know who's actually killing Palestinian civilians? Hamas, who steals aid, stores weapons in hospitals, and shot Palestinians that tried to leave war zones. But the UN doesn't seem to care about that. Oh, their priority is making sure Israel doesn't defend itself too effectively. Guys, let's be honest. The UN has become Hamas's PR firm, a puppet of dictators, terrorists, and human rights abusers. The same UN that puts Iran, China, and Venezuela on human rights councils now dares to lecture Israel. The same Iran that jails women who dare to remove their hijabs. The same China that runs forced re-education camps. The same Venezuela where people are starving under socialist dictatorship. Yeah, forgive me if I don't take moral lessons from this circus. And let's talk about modern day Haman. We're celebrating Purim right now. The UN isn't just useless, it's evil, just like Haman. Haman wanted to annihilate the Jewish people with a royal decree. Today, the UN tries to do the same with reports, accusations, and fake trials. Same intent, just different weapons. The UN loves to act like it's some noble institution fighting for justice. But let's not forget, it's the same organization that stood by as millions were slaughtered in Rwanda. The same UN that is watching right now how Syrian minorities are being targeted by the new regime. The same UN that let Hezbollah stockpile weapons in Lebanon. And now they expect us to believe that they are suddenly concerned about human rights? Please. Just like the Jewish people defeated Haman, this too shall pass. We will defeat Hamas, the UN slander machine, and every enemy that rises against us. Because history is clear. We survive, we thrive, and we win. So let the UN cry their crocodile tears, let them pass their meaningless resolutions. Israel stands strong, not because of their approval, but despite their hatred. And to those activists who spread these lies, you are complicit in the next attack. You are the enablers of terror. You were not peace activists. You are Hamas's useful idiots. So the Jewish people are not going anywhere. Israel is not going anywhere. You better get used to that. And the next time they try to destroy us, just like every time before, we will defeat them.